Okay. I was wondering what was going on there. I was lagging a bit. I was thinking, are these guys going to catch me on this? Welcome to the Wrap Up Live. I am back. I'm glad to be back. Tonight, it's myself, Oren Weisfeld, and Kyle Brickman bringing you the post-game live show, the official Raptors Republic post-game live show where Toronto Raptors defeated the formerly... No, that doesn't make sense if I say that. Okay.
The
Milwaukee
champion.
Bucks, who used to be on an 8-game winning streak. Not anymore. No Giannis Antetokounmpo. I must admit that immediately because I know fans of the Milwaukee Bucks, that's going to be the first thing that they mention. Giannis Antetokounmpo was not active tonight. However, they're still the champions, so I'll take it. The Toronto Raptors defeated the Milwaukee Bucks 97-93, and that brings their record to 10-3. 10-3. Oh my goodness. 10-13 on the season. This live show was produced by none other than our good friend behind the scenes, Chris Howson-Jan. Guys, what a game. We almost gave that away. That was super close. A pretty low scoring affair. A lot of defense. Considering the two teams that were playing, it kind of made sense. Immediate thoughts, Oren, please let me know. Do we deserve this, or like is it just like a whatever win because Giannis wasn't there?
No, I'm glad you asked. I think it's a big win. Like, I don't really care if Giannis is there or not. It's a really good team, and they've been playing well. Like, they've been banged up all season, but they've been playing well even when only like one or two of those guys has been in the lineup. So with Drew and Middleton still playing, that's a really big win. And I don't even blame the Raptors for what happened at the end. I thought those were two pretty bad calls, to be honest, both going against Precious. Like, Middleton jumped into his contest, and then he passed the ball. So that's not a foul. And then the second one out of the free throw was just like pretty soft to call that late in the game. So yeah, I blame the refs way more than I blame Precious or the Raptors for really blowing anything. But thankfully, fucking Connaughton missed that shot in the corner. Thank God, because I wouldn't be doing the show if they blew this game. I really was just gonna go to my depression bed and just have a depression sleep.
Yeah,
Kyle.
The Raptors tried their absolute best to give this one away. That's for sure. Wide open 3 in the corner with 4 seconds left, down 2. The refereeing wasn't ideal, but I think although Siakam had a great night, not killing clock there on that fast break where he fouled himself out, and we can debate whether or not that's an actual foul or whether it led with the elbow or not. That was a low basketball IQ play from a guy who's been around for a while, and it was a shame because he had a terrific night otherwise. But that was a rough move there.
I think Kyle. No, I was gonna say I think on that fast break, I don't. Like, at first, I was like, Pascal, there's so much time left on the clock. Like, what are we doing here? And Pascal's not, like, a low IQ basketball player. Like, that's not usually the type of mistakes that he would make. But it was a mistake. But I will say, from Siakam's point of view, he did have Pat Connaughton. That's how you say it, right? It's not Connaughton. It's Connaughton. Pat Connaughton. He did have Pat Connaughton on him that entire game. And Connaughton just couldn't guard him. I mean, it's just simple as that. He just couldn't guard him in the post. He couldn't guard him on the perimeter. Pascal was too strong, too crafty for him. And he saw that. And he saw him in transition. He was like, let me take advantage of this. And I won't lie to you. At first, I did think, obviously, it was a Connaughton foul. But, I mean, after rewatching, I could understand why the referees would say that. But if you saw my tweet, right after that play, people have to start understanding that, like, if you were to play basketball, and Kyle is a huge guy, and the only reason I know Kyle is massive in terms of his height is because he was standing beside Oren at the Raptors Republic tournament.
I'm pretty massive.
And
I'm tall.
And Kyle
6'4".
And the reason I say that is because Kyle's probably played basketball against people much shorter than him before. And whenever you attempt a spin move against a person much shorter than you, Connaughton's much shorter than Siakam. I don't know what he is. He's 6'6", I think, 6'5". Pascal's 6'9". It's going to look like you're swinging your elbow at his head, but it's really just the guy's smaller than you. Like, it's just height. It's just the height difference. It's not like, so I get why they would say it was an offensive foul, because when you watch the replay, it's like, okay, elbow swung into him. Okay, whatever. The refs have been calling that. They're pretty consistent with that. But it's like, at one point or another, you have to take in the height difference between the two, because obviously Pascal wasn't doing that deliberately. But again, that was just a side note. Obviously from Pascal, you could see he had 20 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists. He shot a pretty good percentage, 9 for 18. He played a really tough game. We'll get into Fred in a bit, who I felt like was the leader for the Raptors, the player of the game for the Raptors. But Pascal, you look at the turnover number, and it sucks, to be honest. It sucks that he turned the ball over 6 times. You don't see that from Pascal almost ever. But what I will say is Milwaukee's one of the best defensive teams in the league. So if there's a game that he's going to do this, it's probably going to be against Milwaukee. They were hounding him, double teaming him in the post, because at first Oren and Kyle, I was kind of confused when Connaughton was starting at the 4 for Milwaukee. But I guess that's just Bud trying to combat what Nick Nurse is doing with this small ball. So I don't know. What did you guys think about Pascal Siakam's game? Do you guys think it was more positive than negative? I'll go with Kyle first.
Absolutely more positive than negative. Listen, the only reason I mentioned it is because that was the swing that brought the game so close in the final couple minutes or a couple seconds, real life minutes, 10 seconds of gameplay. But other than that, and I think the turnover numbers are a product of just the offense in general being sloppy. I wouldn't put that on him. It was just a game against a great defensive team. They just won the championship by being a great defensive team. Like he had an excellent night. We don't mean to be too negative, but we're going to be realistic. That was a turning point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not going to be realistic. I'm going to be foolishly optimistic today, because that was a big win. And I mean, yeah, there's always going to be negatives, but like, considering how terrible the Raptors have been recently, I can't really bring myself to focus on the negatives today, because they did so many different things really, really well that they haven't been doing, especially recently with Birch and OG still out. And like, we got to talk about the defense. Like, they held the Bucks to how many points? Like 93 points. 93, and they had most of their guys still, just not Giannis. Obviously, that's huge. But the defense,
there was no Brook Lopez either, right?
Yeah, but it's not like he's lighting you up really offensively. But the point is, like, this looked like the Raptors were supposed to look this season. Like, defense leading to transition offense, steals, good rebounding team on both ends. Like, this was kind of more what I was expecting. And it felt like everything came together today. And like, even the rotation they played was really big and defensive oriented. And I just felt like they looked like a team with a lot of identity, and they haven't looked like that much this season. But like, the defense leading to the offense and just like disciplined play, it was really good to watch.
I think one of the coolest parts about the fourth quarter is the fact that we saw every Raptor on the court have a hand in really winning this game. Gary Trent Jr. had like a nice little tip off of Drew Holiday when he was going out of bounds. That helped out, especially when the Bucks had momentum. They had an extra possession. And then, of course, I feel like Gary Trent Jr., whenever you need him to step up defensively, he's there for you. A stoic face, absolutely no emotion at all in his face, as if he was expecting to do that all along. You look at each player, Fred VanVleet. I think he was the player of the game. I'm sure you guys probably agree. The leader of the Raptors, the guy constantly galvanizing the guys on the court in the middle of dead ball plays. He looked great. So I can't say enough good things about Fred. Scotty had that tip out to really seal the game at the end.
Yep.
And then who else am I forgetting? Precious was huge.
Precious had 2 huge blocks at the end of the game. Like,
Precious was huge.
I saw some comments in here about Precious because he picked up those 2 fouls. Again, both of them pretty soft calls. Precious played one of his best games of the season. Easily. Like, defensively, like, he played 35 minutes. That's probably a season high. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but that's probably a career high, I should say, for Precious. That means Nick is just trusting him more and more, and he's really anchoring this defense. He's anchoring the rebounding, which has been a huge problem recently. Precious came up clutch in this game.
Do you guys, this is a side point, do you guys think DeMarcus Cousins was pissed that he didn't play over sorry, let me get this guy's name.
No help on this one. I don't want Chris to chime in. Oren doesn't get to chime in.
Sandro Mykhailiuk.
Okay.
Are you guys laughing? You guys are laughing at me like you guys would get that right.
You're
I
Herbie
can't
Kuhn.
confirm
Like
whether
you're Herbie
it's
Kuhn.
correct
We're
or
just
not.
waiting for you to pronounce something.
Oh,
wrong.
okay.
Yeah.
Sandro Mykhailiuk.
No.
If there are any Georgian listeners in the chat, let us know if
We
we're
ap-
right on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
we
we have any
apologize.
Georgians in the chat, absolutely. Yeah.
Are they
No,
called
I apologize.
Georgias? No, they're Georgians.
Georgians, no?
All right,
Yeah,
sorry.
I would
I
assume.
thought you
Yeah.
said Georgias. Like that's
No.
what you called them.
Thanks, Oren. I did not say that. Thank you very much. But getting back to what I was saying, Scotty was huge at the end of the game there. I still don't know how he really got that tip, and that was just all effort, really, at the end of the game. And then the last guy, obviously, Pascal Siakam, with 3 offensive rebounds in the game. And I'm pretty sure all 3, if not 2 out of the 3, came in the fourth quarter. That tip out you see right there to Yuta.
And then Yuta with a really heads up play to get it to Fred so quick too.
Yeah, that was huge. He's just so Yuta's just he doesn't really do wrong on the court, man. Like I miss him. I really did miss him.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad he's like a staple of the bench rotation. Another thing, guys, that I wanted to mention, now that I mentioned the bench, they didn't look all that bad. I mean, you look at the box score, and obviously, what is it, 12, 19, 21 points isn't great from the bench in total. But considering they played 4 guys, I don't really consider, sorry, Isaac Bonga, and if you're watching this, I'm sorry, you played 3 minutes.
He's not.
But they played 4 guys, all of them above 10 minutes. Svi had 19 minutes, and then Utah with the least at 10. I thought they were pretty competitive. I felt like right when the bench came in the game, I think it was in the second quarter, they went on a 9-0 run. The bench looked good, and I feel like it's becoming more and more of a trend that when the Raptors bench plays good, the Raptors tend to win. That's a nice tweet. Can we bring that tweet back up one more time? Because I didn't believe my eyes.
I just wanted to highlight that biggest margin of victory in history. Sam Presti, honestly, quit your job, please.
Did Shea play?
Shea and Giddy both out.
To 70. Wait,
that would have been close. It would have been closer at least. With Shea.
Oh my gosh, it's real.
Oh, for sure. I'm playing Jaren Jackson Jr. in fantasy, and I don't even want to look at what he had today. Like I'm playing against him, and I don't know what he did to them, but it was wrong.
I know we mentioned Bonga very briefly. I actually thought Bonga gave them pretty good minutes tonight. And I think he's a good enough replacement for Chris. Like they seem to have, if Chris Boucher isn't going to be a great 3-point shooter, I think Bonga kind of slots into that like big forward role next to a traditional center, like pretty well. I could see Bonga getting more minutes going forward. He hasn't really made any crucial mistakes just yet.
Yeah, Bonga to me, Oren, I don't know about you. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off. I'm going to be really quick, but to me, he's just falls into that group of NBA players that are like way too good to be in the G League. Like you drop them down to the G League, they tear it up. But then when they come to the NBA, like they don't really make that much of a difference. And yes, he's still young. So if he, like out of those 4 guys that I see right there, Isaac, Malachi, David, and Justin, I probably want to see Isaac because I feel like you know what you're getting from Malachi at this point. Not to say Malachi shouldn't play anymore, but I think you want to see Isaac kind of get these spot minutes, 8 or less minutes for the next few games, and just see how he responds. I think Kyle's right. I liked what I saw in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, he wasn't. He hasn't been bad.
He didn't
at
look
all,
out of place,
like,
right?
No, but this team is still getting healthier, so I preferably neither of them play. And Utah, to me, preferably Utah takes Chris Boucher's minutes because Utah can play more than 10 minutes. Like, I don't know if this is an injury thing. I doubt it. I think Nurse just doesn't really trust him offensively yet. He's not really in rhythm offensively like we saw in the preseason when he played. But I think he's just going to get better and better. And I'm happy with him taking both of their minutes and playing closer, like 20 minutes a night, maybe even eventually, even if like OG is still out.
Yeah, I mean, Delano was in the game. Svi, to me, I don't know, guys. This bench is really like past Utah. This bench is really just starting to deflate me. Svi came in. He was really just signed for one reason and one reason only. That was just to stretch the floor. And he's been struggling. 1 for 6 in this game. It felt like nothing was going down for him.
I don't think he was though. Like it looks to me like you're right. Like he has not been a good 3-point shooter. 1 for 6 tonight. And that's really hurt them. And you're right, the way that they're using him is they expect him to be a knockdown shooter. But I will say that he's better at the other things than I thought. Like, he's a really good finisher. Like, he can finish through some contact and through some bodies. He's playing pretty good defense. Like, I've been really impressed with that. He even had two steals, and then he also had 3 assists tonight. So, like, he'll make the right pass. So I don't know if the shots are going to come down or not. And if they aren't going to go down, then he's not a playoff guy. But right now, like, I'm okay with him being in the rotation just because teams at least still defend him like he can shoot threes. And until that changes, he's useful, I think. But it is frustrating to miss open 3 after open 3.
Yeah. He rebounds the ball well too. I think we got to give him credit for, like, he actually gets in the glass more than a lot of other guards. Like, Banton is just a little too slim for that right now, it seems.
Yeah, he is pretty active around the glass. Like, he one thing I did not know about Svi until he was signed to the Raptors is he has bounce, man. Like, he can get up, and I'm not just talking about like getting up offensively. I'm talking about like on the glass. Like, he can really battle bigger guys on the glass just off the face of him jumping over them. I did not know Svi was, super athletic. I did watch. As the Raptors, I felt like we're looking for that shooting guard. I personally thought they were going to sign. He was on the Wizards last year. Garrison Matthews I think is his name. Because I just felt like they were looking for shooting, and he was available at the time. So I thought I posted a tweet that said, the Raptors should probably look at a guy like Svi or Garrison or this or that. And then, like, I think a week later they signed Svi. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like something has to change. The bench wasn't as bad, but this game almost got away, and it wasn't because of the bench. But I feel like if you have a pretty good bench, a bench that you can rely on, again, this is where we talk about guys like Chris Boucher, leading these units. I feel like this game wouldn't even be close. Like, it really wouldn't have even came down to, what was it, a 4-point game, 97-93. So kind of sad, but it's a win that I'm sure every single Raptors fan will take. Just off the verge of it being the Milwaukee Bucks. I think the second place team in the East, if I'm not mistaken, guys. I have to double check that, but
I don't know. But yeah, we got to focus on the positives. I think everyone should say a positive from one of their takeaways. I'll start.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so I think, like, from start to finish. Okay, sorry. This is for your ruined days, or are from start to finish. I think the Raptors played
Arsenal's garbage. Sorry.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I thought that the Raptors played a disciplined game, and for like a full 48 minutes performance, I felt like they were in charge the whole time. I don't think Milwaukee ever got the lead after the first quarter, and like there's usually ups and downs and like runs in games with players this skilled offensively, but like the Raptors really held the Bucks runs in check. And I was just impressed with like how disciplined they played, considering how young they are and how injured they are. And it was just like, it clearly was like a game kind of circled on their schedule, in the sense like, we got to go out here at home and win this one.
Yeah. I'll go with really quick, Kyle, because I feel like Kyle's going to steal what I'm about to say. So I'm going to say it before him. I'm going to go with Scotty Barnes, and specifically his defense over Chris Middleton.
Good one.
He was giving Chris Middleton hell in this game. I don't know. It just felt like Chris early in the game was a bit lethargic. He didn't really want the ball as much. But yeah, like, if you look at this tweet here from Eric Corrine from The Athletic, he says, Scotty stepped up and said, I'm going to guard him. I'm going to guard him hard. And that's Nurse on Barnes taking on Middleton once the Raptors knew Giannis was out. So like that, and that's the thing, Giannis is out. So the first thing that comes to mind is obviously the second option. And at this point, I think that's a bit disputed, because Jrue Holiday really looked like the second option tonight. But I mean, you're not going to plant a Scotty Barnes on Jrue Holiday. So I think he did an amazing job with that challenge. He did incredibly well. And if you look at the box score, it proves it. I mean, he was 8 for 20. And I think beyond Jrue Holiday, almost every Milwaukee Bucks player struggled. Bobby Portis, 3 for 11. Connaughton, 2 for 7. Grayson Allen, 4 for 10. I'm not going to say his name again, but he was one of the lone anomalies. He was 4 for 8. I'm just going to say big guy, Milwaukee Bucks with the beard. I think he had a ginger beard. So I'm just going to say that from now on. Everybody struggled. George Hill, who I don't know how he's still getting 28 minutes when the guy's 47 years old. And I don't know how he keeps finding his way back on the Milwaukee Bucks,
but bad. He's bad.
He was 1 for 6. So yeah, Kyle, since I took yours, I hope I gave you enough time to think about it.
No, I did want to say, like, people seem to think that Scotty's been like a bad defender this year. I don't really get that. I think there's like some of his net rating stuff, like he has a negative net defensive rating. That's not a good metric for measuring defense. Like Kawhi Leonard, when he was winning Defensive Player of the Years, had like a pretty bad defensive rating. It's not a good measure of defense. In my mind, Scotty's been a terrific defender all year. It hasn't really been like an improvement as of late. I don't really see it as he has trouble guarding point guards on switches and stuff sometimes. Like, yeah, let's be realistic. He's 6'7", 6'8". Like, how many guys can do that at his height? So, but as a positive, like that Fred plus the bench unit that I think opened the fourth quarter seemed to really work. And that's something that Lowry, that was like a staple of Lowry's time with the Raptors, like Lowry plus the bench mob type thing. Like Lowry was making guys like, like Bebe Nogueira into like, a double guy, but playing with them off the bench. Like that was just sort of Lowry's thing. And I think Fred, that's the next step into Lowry's shoes, is running those bench units as the main guy. If you can develop some chemistry with some of these guys on the bench, then maybe it's maybe our bench isn't as dire a situation, because I think right now, like, they're 30th in net rating, something very poor.
I think it is 30th.
I'm not sure about net rating, but I don't think they're 30th in net rating, but I know that they're scoring the least points per game. Like their defense hasn't been that bad, but their offense has been the worst in the league for sure. But yeah, we should talk more about Fred, because you're right. Like him carrying the bench unit the way he did, which was mostly just him like scoring the ball himself and just kind of like playing hero ball. If you can do that somewhat consistently, that's huge. But I will push back on the Barnes idea. I think like this might have been his best defensive game that he's played this season, but I don't even agree with the comment that he's been better recently. Like I think it's been pretty steady all season, but it hasn't been like great for me. This game was really great. Like he held Middleton in check, but my issue with him is like, you're right on one hand that they're kind of testing him out and putting him on centers, putting him on point guards. And obviously like that's not his fault for not being able to defend guys like that. Like that's just not really his, like, it shouldn't be his role right now in his first year. But like there was this one play where Middleton hit a open three with about, I think it was like 6 minutes left in the game. And it was just because like Scotty randomly went and double teamed Drew Holiday, who Fred was like on, and Fred held in check like for the second half at least. And it's like it's been a lot of plays like that this season where Scotty will just freelance like he's playing high school basketball again. But like in the NBA, if you freelance, guys are making you pay. And there's just been like so much of that, so much of just like kind of not sitting in his stance and getting blown by guys he shouldn't get blown by. Like obviously I'm very like excited about Scotty, and I think he will be a really good defender sooner than later, but there's been too many breakdowns for me this season to say like he's been really good or consistent.
Yeah. Like there's plays even in this game where I think he was just getting blown past, and I was just like, that's so weird, because 2 plays ago he just made an incredible defensive play. There are plays where he just looks like disengaged, and then there are plays where, like you said, he just freelances and he almost gets like a free roam role. And I don't know if that's by design from Nick Nurse or if that's just Scotty,
I know it's not a lot.
On his own instincts.
I know it's not a lot, because at least in this game when he double teamed Middleton, Fred looked at him as soon as the shot went and was like, "What the fuck, bro?" Like,
yeah, like what are you doing? And Fred really takes pride in his defense. So like when he sees Drew having a pretty good game, he's like, let me take this guy. And yeah, Fred, like Drew Holiday is a borderline all-star player, so he is going to get the best of Fred, just like Fred's going to get the best of Drew, who's considered probably the best defending guard in the league, I want to say, like consistently over the last few years. So I mean, if you're a good enough basketball player, then yeah.
To hit on this comment real quick, like I think the reason a lot of young guys help for no reason is because in college there's so much more help being sent than in the NBA, where you play a lot more straight up. Like in college, people pack the paint and like throw bodies on post ups, and it's just like an adjustment to the NBA.
Yeah, I just like Fred said this on Will Lou's show. Like all the rookies, they're just making their mistakes are just like young guy. I think he said like rookie shit or something of that nature. It's like this is Scotty is making like mistakes of a young player. I don't think that I'm not necessarily saying that he's like a terrific defender, but some of the stuff he's made out to be like a net negative on defense. I don't see that. Even from day one, he's never been a net negative on defense. He's been a positive for this team defensively, despite what the rating says.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
agree with that as well.
I don't think ratings has so much to do with who you're playing with too, right? And he's been playing with bench guys quite a bit this season.
I don't know how, guys, the Raptors survived a Gary Trent Jr. 3 for 16 game. I know I don't want to focus on the negatives at all, but
we all said something positive, so it's okay now.
He looks hurt a little bit. He looks like he's a little bit hurt, and this is his first game back and makes sense. Like he just didn't look like he was moving with the same fluidity as he normally does. Usually so smooth. And it kind of seemed like he was a little bit off.
I honestly, when I think he hit the first shot of the game, the one you just saw, the first three. And as soon as I saw that, I thought it was going to be a Gary Trent Jr. game. But it just felt like for every shot he was making, he was missing 4 of them. So, and Gary's always going to be the guy that, like, when he shoots really bad, people are going to be like, what type of shots is he taking? But he's just a bucket getter. Like, these are the type of shots he's going to take, and sometimes he makes them and sometimes he doesn't. So I'm not necessarily mad with his shot selection. I'm not angry at it. I'm not, disturbed by it. But what I will say is, if your bench, and this goes back to the bench, if your bench is so inconsistent, you're going to need some sort of consistency, and that just can't come from Fred and Siakam and sometimes Scotty every game. It just can't. You have to have Gary has to play, 2 out of every 3 games have to be a game where they can rely on him. And if he's not going to shoot well, he's going to have to play outstanding defensively. But yeah, I'm okay with just chalking it up to rust, like Alex Holiday says here, like Kyle mentioned as well. I'm not, going crazy over it. I just think that, maybe he needs to take these 16 shots and make only 3 of them to kind of shake that rust off. Yeah.
Is that what Gary does to you?
I love Gary though, so I have to mention him every single show. So whether he plays awful or not. What I do also, another thing I wanted to mention, guys, is that in this game, I'm not a big NHL guy. I know the Toronto Maple Leafs are doing really, really well this season. If I'm not mistaken, they're first in their division and in their conference. There's divisions and conferences, right? In the NHL?
Yeah.
Okay, Oren doesn't know, but okay.
I know
first.
that they're
going to say
they're
first,
are,
and someone's
there
going to
are, but I don't know if they're first. Yeah.
Someone's going to have to fact check me. Austin Matthews was at the game, which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
Who else did you guys see at the game? I don't remember. I didn't see who was beside him because I think he was wearing a mask. But I think the only 2 hockey players on the team are Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews. I don't know if Jason Spetz is still on the team, but a lot of Raptors fans are also Leafs fans.
Was the game from Raptors Republic. My boy Luke was at the game.
Okay.
His Oren's boy Luke.
Just name dropping.
I have Oren's boy Luke.
Who else did we see at the game, guys?
Because celebrities are just as important as regular folks like you and me.
This guy, we really did a SFanDR shout out on wrap up because he went to a Raptors game.
At one point in the broadcast, Jack said something I really liked. I haven't heard it before. He said, "It ain't about the X's and O's; it's about the Jimmys and Joes." So good. Like it's like the saying, the best ability is availability.
Is availability,
yeah. The help. And the X's and O's,
Drake, by the way.
And Joes.
Oren, did you see Drake was at I think he was in OKC, right, to watch SGA?
It's good he didn't go tonight.
Yeah.
Why?
If he
why was he in OKC? Like, I don't understand. Why go to Oklahoma City? Like, I'm sure just go to LA or meet Shea.
I think he literally just went to I think he literally just went to support him, and he's like, let me just go to this guy's home city. I guess that Drake's one of those guys, he just does whatever really he wants.
Well, when you have your own plane, you can kind of do what you want.
You just do what you want when you want. I think it's time to finally mention, because I know we had the Fred highlight mix up, so why not? Let's mention the Can-Am Taxman of the night, who I think, guys, we all agree it has to be Fred. I'm not going to lie to you. About 6 minutes left in the game, I was kind of worried because I was like, hey, man, Pascal looks pretty good. So I might have to, debate with Oren and Kyle on here about who's going to be the Taxman of the night. But I think we can all agree it has to be Fred VanVleet. Final stat line was gorgeous against one of the better defending guards in the league. 29 points on 9 for 17 shooting. He was a +9, which was the best in the entire game on both teams. Grayson Allen was second on the Milwaukee Bucks with a +8. And then after that, it was Precious, Siakam, and Gary Trent Jr. in order. 29 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists for Fred VanVleet, 5 for 10 from 3. That is your Can-Am Taxman of the night. Let me clear my throat before I do this. Can-Am CPA is a full-service small business accounting and tax firm with an experienced and friendly staff that can help you navigate a triangle offense better than whatever Oren attempted to do at the Raptors Republic tournament. Can-Am also provides personal tax preparation and can recover the refunds that you are entitled to. Don't leave that money on the table. If you have questions about your personal taxes, reach out to Can-Am and they'd be happy to help the Wrap Up and Raptors community. So check out their Google reviews on www.canamtax.com.
Yeah, I want to talk about Fred a little bit more because he outplayed Drew Holiday in this game, and Drew had an amazing start, but it was just amazing to see like just how strong Fred is, and like they played such a physical like one-on-one game, and the refs were letting a lot of it go, and it's just like the fact that this guy who's realistically like 5'11" can like keep up with Drew Holiday in the post, wherever it may be, and even kind of wear him down as the game went along, which seemed to happen tonight, is like an amazing accomplishment. And when Giannis is out, if you can outplay the point guard Drew and you can obviously do like Scotty Barnes holding Middleton in check, then you're giving yourself a really good chance to win. And like you said, like we haven't really had to debate the Taxman yet. It feels like every game has been kind of obvious. But it was close until Fred just like carried them in the fourth quarter. And he just keeps like he's just been so important to this team, and he's having an all-star season. And I really hope they get some wins because he deserves to be in the all-star game.
Yeah, I genuinely hope and pray that the Raptors are in the playoff picture by the time that all-star break comes around, because Fred has to be considered. I don't think you consider any other Raptor. I mean, Scotty Barnes obviously not. Pascal probably hasn't played enough games, and he's going to have to go on a wild tear over the next like month and a half to really be considered. But yeah, Fred's been incredible. Like, this is the leader of the team. This is damn near the best player on the team, might I say. I don't know if you guys are ready to say that yet, but I mean, this season he has been the guy for the Raptors. I've mentioned it 1,000 times. He is officially taken over that Kyle Lowry role. Not to say he's doing it like Kyle Lowry. Don't get at me, because I'm Kyle Lowry, one of his biggest fans. Wait, you guys see it right there? So don't get at me, okay? But he is playing that role really well. And from what I saw tonight against a very good Milwaukee Bucks team, I don't care if they're missing Giannis or not, Fred VanVleet is the man for Toronto. Honestly, I might just have to get his jersey, guys. I might just have to do it.
Such a good
Cheers,
quote.
Vivek Jacob. Do you want to read that out, Oren? Because my throat.
Fred VanVleet on having to adjust last minute to Giannis not playing. You don't flinch, but in the back of your head, you thank the man upstairs. It's really good.
That's like, if there's ever like a Giannis documentary, they got to get that quote in there. That's like a great quote. It's so complimentary of
It's
Giannis.
true.
I thank God that he's not playing.
I was so like not really looking forward to this game, or just like all day I just had it as an L in my books, and then when it was announced that Giannis wasn't playing, I was like, oh, okay, this could be a fun night, And it was
man.
fun.
It was really fun. We mentioned Precious, we mentioned Pascal. Kyle, is there anything you saw from Fred tonight that kind of established who he is for the Raptors?
Nothing abnormal. This is the standard that he set. So I think it's basically to be expected at this point. But you're right that Fred is the type of player who's not necessarily that flashy. He's not like a big time scorer. So in the same way that other all-stars would be. So the Raptors are going to have a pretty good record for him to be in consideration. Like, he's the type of guy that gets voted in because the team is doing so well and he's such a positive influence. And he's got such a great influence, but it's hard to say like, oh, look, he's such a positive influence on a team that's below 500. So it all depends on wins. But I think if they sort out this little rough patch, they start winning games, I don't see any way he's not an all-star.
Lewis had a good stat I'm just looking for on Twitter recently, where like
fourth in net rating.
Yeah, not net rating. It's like Raptor, I think. So like 538's all-in-one metric, which it's like, I don't know, one of those advanced stats.
I love
that takes
these
into
metrics.
account a bunch of different things. And yeah, like Fred is fourth in the league behind, I think, like Steph, Giannis, and someone else. So I think like a lot of the voters take like analytics into the conversation, like pretty advanced stats. So I think like he could be that guy if they're just like still in the playoff picture, like anywhere kind of around the 8th seed, as long as they're not out of it. I really think that Fred could make it because like the voters, they really care about stuff like that.
Yeah, so if you guys weren't aware of what Oren was speaking about when he said Raptor, 538's Raptor rating, it's something that they introduced, I believe, back in 2019. I'm reading their article now, and it's
that
their
was
new
like
metric,
the new name for
say.
it, I think.
You want to read the acronym?
Let's see if I can pull it up. Robust algorithm, and then in brackets using, robust algorithm using player tracking, again, brackets, and on-off ratings. I mean, sure. I mean, you're stretching it with all these brackets, but you're stretching it. But it is 538's NBA statistic that they rely on, and what a lot of people rely on, honestly, for the value a player has generally to their team. So, I mean, whenever you're in the same conversation as Steph, Giannis, and Jokic, who are all MVP candidates this year, I mean, sure, Fred VanVleet will definitely take it.
We should acknowledge that the rest of the top 10 is rounded up by John Collins, Rudy Gobert, Mikal Bridges, and Alex Caruso. So maybe it's not the catch-all metric that we made. So
yeah, all having good seasons though. I will say that all guys having really good seasons. Yeah, I think it's like the stat that really tries to get all the things that says like that doesn't show up in the box score. It's like the stat that like gets all of those things that don't show up into the box score. So it is going to be some role players in there, but it's still role players who are like helping teams win in ways more than you see on a night-to-night basis if you're not paying really close attention.
Yeah, we need a metric with my name, Sahal. I think I'm going to try and I think that's my new.
Okay, let's come up with an acronym. A silly, anonymous.
Okay, we're not doing this. Stop horrible, it. Just stop.
Asinine. Loser.
That was good. Sorry. That was good, man. That was good. I deserve that one.
I didn't mean for it to go that
You did that fast.
My brain just has only mean connotations of words for some reason.
That was good. I like that. I'm gonna come up with the Oren one on the next show. What were you gonna say, Oren, though?
No, I was gonna say let's do some film. Let's break it down.
Yeah. Do you want to bring up your plays first?
I think we'll just go chronologically, and whoever
let's do it.
And we'll just. I think that's how we have it cut off.
Our amazing producer behind the scenes.
So yeah, we have a good amount of clips today. That's why I want to get to it.
This was me. I just wanted to point out I didn't really dig into this enough at the time to realize what exactly goes wrong. But I know that triple teaming Rodney Hood on a fadeaway jumper from the nail, that's what we talked about, like whether or not it's Nurse's fault that people are over helping. This is an execution problem, surely. There's no way Nurse is in the huddle drawing up, like, make sure to triple team Rodney Hood on this nail fadeaway. Like, there are maybe 2 players in the history of the league that you want to triple team there. So this is an issue with execution, not with Nurse's scheme.
I'm watching a different Raptor on each time this play goes, and people are gonna say I'm hating, but why does Chris Boucher feel the need to do that? I need you guys to watch Chris Boucher at the bottom, underneath the net. You don't have to help on that. Like, you're okay if Rodney Hood takes a contested fadeaway jumper. Like, and I'm not just blaming him, but like that's the first guy I noticed because Delano almost has to play where he's playing because of I can't see who that is underneath the net, the Milwaukee Bucks player, but he has to almost play off of George Hill because Chris Boucher steps up. If he leaves that, that's an easy layup underneath the basket. So I'm not really mad at Delano. I can't really be mad at Svi, who I believe is the point of attack defender here. And then Rodney's fading the opposite way. So Scotty can help on that really if he wanted to, because Rodney does not have the vision to pass that out to Chris Middleton. So I don't know, guys. Am I overreacting, or is that
no?
Chris Boucher,
I think you got the guy. I think you caught him.
Yeah. I feel like I'm playing Clue here. This is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't understand that at all. Rodney Hood, though, former Raptor. What do we think about that, guys? What do we think about that? Can we get the next play, Chris? Drew Holiday, man, one of my favorite players in the game.
Oh yeah, I just really like this Fred defensive play by Fred.
Mm-hmm.
Just watch him. He gets beat. Precious gets the help. He gets to Precious his guy so quickly. Like that 2-man defense is huge.
Fred never gets beat. Like he gets beat, and then like he just finds the right place at the right time. It's like he could have just easily gave up on that play, being so far behind Connaughton,
right,
on this wraparound,
right,
and then somehow that was Raptors ball. Did they say that came off Bobby Portis? Wow.
Yeah. He just reads the game so quickly, so he knows as soon as Precious goes to help at the rim, he knows where Precious's guy is going to come from, and he's just like, he's not even looking at the ball. At Portis here. He has his eye on the ball, but he's running to the spot where Portis is coming from because he just knows, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
that was just another masterful defensive play.
Their defense was huge, and like that's what won them the game, and it started right as the game started. So I wanted to show them some love.
Yeah, definitely. This play, Rodney Hood kicks it to Drew. Drew finds George Thanasis, and then I'm not going to say his name. But
was this mine? I don't remember this one.
Voldemort.
Let me see what I wanted.
Could have been mine, to be honest. But to be quite honest, this is just very good rotations from the Raptors. Like everyone's moving.
Yeah.
And then it ends up being Milwaukee ball, but it starts off with Delano getting screened and Rodney just kicks it out. The ball gets tapped, obviously, because Gary Trent Jr. is there. This was a really good closeout by Chris Boucher, makes him go underneath. Another good closeout, and then the Raptors. This is the type of defense I'm talking about that we used to see so frequently in that championship season, where like I've never seen more crisp defensive rotations than that year. Like it just felt like everyone was so harmonious in the way they moved. It was almost scary at times. Like it felt like the Raptors just understood in each and every situation how to rotate to the next man. This was really good though, because George Hill could have easily just shot it there, but I'm sure he's played Chris Boucher enough times to know that Chris Boucher is like the master of blocking pocket three balls. So then he goes underneath, but this was just, again, masterful team defense this time, not necessarily Fred VanVleet, but team defense from Toronto. Look at Fred. He is just a pest. He is an absolute pest, man. Look at the rotations.
Oh, this is me. Yeah, I wanted to point out these are great rotations. These are excellent rotations. This is the type of defense that Toronto and Nurse, schemes up, and it's just completely spoiled by a poor boxing out and no one really getting up and grabbing a rebound. Like I think, Oren, you were mentioning, I think you wrote an article. I'm gonna plug your article about the poor defensive rebounding, but this is a case of like Gary's leaking out to nowhere without grabbing the ball. Siakam's not doing a great job of boxing out Bobby, or maybe that's not Siakam, but Portis isn't boxed out adequately. So they have this excellent possession that's spoiled completely. Look at those rotations. Look at Scotty X out to the shooter. That's spoiled completely by a lack of a defensive rebounding intensity. I mean, it's 2 Bucks and 3 Raptors there. That should be a board.
Yeah, definitely. Starts off with Fred obviously double teaming and Bobby just swinging his elbows like a madman. Swing, Chris Middleton.
Like Gary's gone here. Okay, see it. Like, come on, man. Good, 2 hands on the ball. Let's go.
Yeah, and that's always been tough because Pascal's not really like a great rebounder. He can rebound. He's just not great at it. And Bobby Portis, he was probably just super, I guess, motivated in a game like this because being the 5-man, which I think he's more suited, obviously, to be a 4, but being the 5-man and knowing you're going to be one of the biggest guys on the court at all times, there was an onus on him. I'm sure Bud told him before the game that you just have to be that guy underneath the paint. All the dirty work is going to be you, and he does a great job just locating the ball. I'll give Portis credit on that one.
Yeah,
Does a great job. Doesn't give up.
The Raptors
do
have a big rebounding problem, and I wrote about it. This game, it was even, so like I wasn't focusing on it too much, but at the same time, Brook, Lopez, and Giannis are both out, right? So like that, look how small Milwaukee's lineup is right now. Portis is the 5. So the Raptors shouldn't have had problems today. They were the bigger team. They didn't really have problems, but you're right to like point it out, because going forward against some of the bigger teams in this league, or just the more healthy teams, it's still a big problem when Kem is not available and the Raptors have one center. Their rebounding has been pretty atrocious.
So what you're saying is we should get Reggie Evans. Reggie Evans. Are we getting a 49-year-old Reggie Evans? What? Did you say who was Reggie?
Like old Reggie
We're
Evans.
Talking old.
Oh, because
we're talking
Reggie
big,
Perry.
We're talking big 3 Reggie Evans.
I thought you were talking about like a realistic option, but no.
No. Reggie Evans, I'm sure he could probably still rebound better than most Raptors on the court, but yeah, I just felt like it was an adequate time to mention Reggie Evans. The Raptors, honestly, if there's one thing that they've just struggled with all season, it's been a consistent issue. You can say the defense has been really on and off this year, but when they're at their best, the Raptors look like one of the better defending teams in the league. It's been their rebounding, and I don't know what is going to happen around the trade deadline to fix this issue. I'm not sure if it's just, from Masai Ujiri's perspective, it's just, okay, let's just get bigger guys out there. Again, that might mess with what the Raptors are trying to do from an identity perspective, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure what options they have in terms of trade options. Maybe that's a piece, Oren, that you could.
No, that's kind of what I wrote about, to be honest. I'm going to drop the link in the bio, but like the way I see it, they don't have to do anything crazy. They just need like a bench big, because when Birch and Precious have both been available this season, the Raptors are 7-5, and they're like, and I think they would have been the 12th best defensive rebounding team in the league. So above average when both those guys are healthy. But since one of them has been unhealthy so much, you kind of got to factor that in and kind of get like a third center who can replicate some of what they do in the situation that one is injured. But considering like how many guys on this roster could be out by the deadline, you think about Goran, you think about Boucher, maybe even Flynn. Like, I think it's very realistic that they could get that third center. Those are not like expensive guys. Like, think about JaVale McGee on the Suns. I think he's on a minimum contract right now, right? And he's giving them like really great minutes. Those are not hard guys to get.
Yeah. I'm looking at the Raptors and I'm thinking to myself, if this team wants to be a playoff team, there's no way you can go into the playoffs with your bigs being Kem Birch, Precious Achiuwa, with how inconsistent he's been. Great game tonight. Chris Boucher and Pascal, like that's just not going to work. It's really just not, because if they're playing 40 minutes in meaningless games versus, let's say, the Sacramento Kings or whatever it is in the middle of the season, goodness great, Pascal might be playing 46, 47 minutes in the playoffs if they were to ever make it there, hypothetically. So I think getting that bench big is a must. Like, that is, if we're talking like red alert, that's something that the Raptors need to fix immediately.
Yeah, I think they'll still play Precious and Kem when healthy, because they're trying to develop Precious especially. So like, but yeah, think about if they played like a Milwaukee, like a healthy Milwaukee in the playoffs, they need more size.
Brad Brady says Jamal McGlure at the 5.
Yeah, he's already,
maybe,
he's in the building.
Maybe we'll have to sub in Jamal. Okay, guys, we're not going to go with all the center options. You guys are just trolling at this point. Like, come on, Alex, Christopher, come on, take that back. We've went through that experiment already. Alex is he has a point. It's too late for Boogie. I don't know if you want DeMarcus Cousins on a team like this, but it has to change. Kyle, I don't know about you, but I'm sure you agree with the sentiment that the Raptors need that bench big, right?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Like, if they're a playoff caliber team and that's a move they make at the deadline, I'm all for it. But like, I'm not in favor of moving any real assets for a bench caliber big unless it's a year that they're going to compete in any meaningful way. And I don't mean compete as in like number one seed type thing. I mean, if they're in the play-in contention, great move. But if they're well in the lottery or 5 games out of the play-in spot, I'm not really in favor of moving any.
Okay, can I put you on the spot then? Can I put you on the spot?
Put me on the spot.
Who are you willing to move? If a guy, I'm not saying JaVale McGee, but I'm saying a guy of that caliber becomes available at the trade deadline, what players would you be willing to move?
Like, let's say, because JaVale's a little old. Like, no one for JaVale, but like caliber player who's not as old. I mean, you'd have to look at Goran. I would be willing to move Goran for almost anything, but I think he would be the piece. Like, that would go get a Dwight Powell from the Mavericks, maybe Moses Brown, I believe his name is, from the Mavericks.
Yeah,
well.
I think I do Goran for William Lou at this point.
That's
at least we get to see. At least we get to see William just like
seen him
crash and burn on the court.
You should have seen him hooping in the 3-3 tournament. Like, that's
I was seeing it. Thank you, Alex Wong, for that. That guy was on IG Live the entire time. So shout out to Alex Wong.
Goran, I think the Raptors are already likely looking to move Chris Boucher. As sad as it is, I think they're probably looking to move on from him, flip him to a contender, and some contender like Warriors type team will take a shot with Chris and say like, listen, you were a shooter once, you could probably shoot again. All you need to do is go stand in the corner and you're playing like 5 minutes a game. I think he'd be great on the Warriors. I think you might be able to fetch something, maybe not from the Warriors, but in a 3-team deal, something like that. I'm trying to think.
Yeah,
that's alternatively kind of where I draw the line. I don't want
no, but alternatively, they don't even move an asset for a guy like that. Alternatively, they just free up a roster spot and then bring someone like Reggie Perry from the 905 up to be that bench, that third center, or someone in the G League or from Europe, or a buyout candidate. Like, it doesn't take a lot, but you need a free roster spot to do it.
Yeah. I don't know right now who would be available as a free agent, but I do know there is some good talent in the G League. There always is good talent in the G League. And I feel like the Raptors aren't at a point where their talent level as a team is so incredibly high where they can neglect that level of play from the G League. I mean, try something new. Why not? Especially when Khem Birch is out. I mean, I'm sorry, guys, but I'm just not. I can't do Precious 35 minutes every game. He had a great game tonight, but I can't. This can't be like a thing, right?
I think it's also worth noting, and like again, I don't want to pour water on the burning fire of Raptors fans in the chat, but like Precious took 2 bad fouls down the stretch. It's debatable whether they were good calls, but the fouls were called on him. He also missed 2 free throws, 2 clutch free throws.
Yeah,
and gave so that's not. He had a great game by his standards, but that's pretty rough. The Raptors can't survive that every night. Like,
no,
this is a name I keep seeing. I'll show you. Wait, Moses Brown. I've even some friends of mine have mentioned Moses Brown.
He was on OKC, got traded to Dallas.
Right?
Yeah. He was like part of a package that was tossed around for Dragic. He would be a great, if you can get him for Dragic, like you're laughing because he's young. Dragic is old and washed up. If you get anything for Dragic, you're laughing at this point. But yeah, like that would obviously be ideal. But yeah, let's move on.
Yeah, we don't want to focus too much on what the Raptors should or should not do. We'll talk about it more, I guess, as the shows go along and we get closer to the trade deadline. But it is fun to always talk about what the Raptors can improve on. And I think we all have a pretty good idea of what that is.
Oh yeah, this play's already been playing. I mean, this was just great defense, great transition. Their transition offense has gotten way better recently. And like today, I'm gonna look it up right now, but they had only 13 fast break points. They're credited for.
Chris Middleton botched this play. Look at this.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But it felt like more. It felt like they were getting steals, and those steals were resulting in buckets. And this was a good example of that, I thought.
I want to point out, and I hate being this guy who's like, Scotty's doing all the little things, but as Precious runs the lane, Scotty crosses the key there, taking out the help defender. That's a vet move. That's a really intelligent move. Just cross right through the key. He basically he's like an offensive lineman run blocking for Precious. Like he's walking right through the key, no call because it's not that illegal, maybe a little. And that's a great.
I honestly did not even realize that up until now, but what a genius play!
Yeah,
by
good
Scotty.
call.
Just
good
very
eyes.
very tiny thing that he did that made that play happen. That was such an easy, I think, read for Fred to make. He was never really going to go to the rim. And I feel like when you see Precious running down the court behind you or beside you, it's very easy to just dump it off to him and watch him kind of just fly to the basket. Yeah, Scotty,
I don't know. Go for it.
Sorry, Oren. I was just going to say really quick, Scotty, his IQ is so high for a rookie that I'm almost like, I think his IQ, other than his physical talents, is what makes me so excited to see what's going to come in year 2 and year 3 and year 4, because I feel like he's just going to see the game at a totally different level. Yeah, Scotty's just a basketball. Like, he's just born to play basketball.
He's a hooper. He's a hooper's hooper.
He's a hooper.
He's a hooper.
You get the KD Hooper stamp of approval.
Oh, look at this. Speaking of Scotty, exactly. Like, this was the other one I wanted, which is, I mean, the point I wanted to make about this shot is, like, first of all, it's just like ridiculous. Like, his touch on these mid-range shots continues to baffle me because they're not hitting the rim, right? Like, these are swishes most of the time. He had another similar range that was just like, he double pumped it and then it was just a swish. So his touch is amazing, but I wanted to highlight this shot because this is a shot you can get to anytime you want, like playoffs, whatever the situation. You back down your guy, you shoot a fadeaway off one leg, Dirk style shot. Like, that's pretty consistent for Scotty, and like that's just like another option in the playoffs to go to, and obviously in the future. I just really like his upside as kind of like a number one option, to be honest. Like, that's just is what it is. Yeah,
if he can get that shot right, and that shot's looked really good in the last 7 games. So, I mean, if you get that portion right, it's already looking much more promising, honestly. I thought from what we see from Scotty in his first season, I genuinely thought he was just not going to attempt to shoot many threes this year. And I was okay with that. I was okay with him just taking advantage of what he was good at, and then just using each offseason to really hone his craft of his perimeter shooting. But we've already seen pretty good, indications thus far that Scotty has become and is becoming a better 3-point shooter almost by each day that passes. So this was just cool, though.
Brian Windhorst said something interesting. I'm not sure if you guys saw this, and if we could bring the tweet up, it'd make it a lot easier for me because I'm just gonna kind of go based on memory here. You said something along the lines of like, Scotty is that guy that every NBA team hopes to find, and every single move the Raptors make going forward should be with Scotty in mind, meaning personnel moves, coaching moves, etc. should be with Scotty in mind, which is really high praise from Windhorst. Hey, look how good Chris is that guy. Honestly, Chris is that guy.
Wow, that was fast. Everybody say thank you, Chris, in the comment section.
Chris.
But this is really telling, especially because Windhorst is a guy who's been following LeBron. It's like kind of not in a derogatory way, but riding LeBron's coattails for his entire career. Followed him from Cleveland to Miami. So if anyone knows, it's Windhorst, and this is telling. This is a big quote. I think I'm in 100% agreement with this. Should we read it and the people at home see it on the screen?
Yeah, they can read. I think they're smart people.
This is one thing that I wanted to say, because I think Brian obviously realizes, his podcast, by the way, if you don't listen to it, it's pretty damn good. But I think one thing he realizes, as well as every Raptors fan, is that Scotty is the crux of this team now. Like, he's him. He's not the best player yet, but he by far has the highest ceiling. And he is the guy that it's like, okay, we're going to build around this guy. Because let's be totally honest, Pascal Siakam is great. Him and Fred are borderline all-star players, right? You can win games with those two guys as part of your core. OG as well. OG's been gone for quite some time. We haven't really talked about him.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
But Scotty is the guy. You drafted him 4th. He looks like he may become the best rookie in this draft class, beside Evan Mobley, beside Cade Cunningham, like most people expected. And yeah, I totally agree with this statement. I don't even think, because I feel like if this exact statement, Oren and Kyle, if this was coming from a Raptors fan, people would have said that was just, they're biased, homers, and blah 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 blah. But I think it's the absolute truth. I think you have to build around him now. Right when this offseason hits, every decision you make has to come with Scotty in mind. I agree.
And this isn't anti Pascal or anti whoever.
No,
because the reality of like Pascal and Scotty's fit, Pascal OG and Scotty's fit, like all of that remains to be seen whether or not that's a functioning pairing, we'll say, between Scotty and Pascal. But it is important to note that this should be the organizational philosophy, and if there's any doubt about their fit, that the decision should be made with Scotty in mind rather than any other player on the roster.
Yeah. Last thing I will say is that with Scotty's skill set, it will be a cakewalk building around him. You know how, like, with the Utah Jazz, for example, their core for the last 4 years has been Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell. Build around those two, have a very, very good defensive team, make the playoffs, second round, maybe Western Conference Finals, and you go from there. But you're never really going to get to the finals. Even this year, Utah's really good. No one really expects to see them in the finals, but they have a good basketball team. And the reason they can't get there is because they have those massive holes that they just can't fill, right? There are playoff series where Gobert just looks out of place. People mention that nonstop when talking about Rudy. Yes, defensively dominant, one of the most dominant centers. I think he's going to finish his career one of the most dominant centers ever, right? 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. Again, I read a stat that he was like the best, but whatever. I'm not going to
couldn't get a bucket on Nick Batum in a playoff series.
That's my point. So it's like with Scotty, if you're going to build around him, he looks like a prototypical small forward. He's just everything you want. He has the playmaking ability. He can score, and work ethics there. He's fun to watch. Great personality. Yeah. Everything is good.
That Trace comment, Chris?
I agree with both of you guys that like Windhorse's point is right. I would say
just
that
tell us what you disagree with, though, Oren. Come on, just do it.
I don't disagree with anything, but
oh, nice.
I think people will see this and be like, "Oh, they're Raptors fans, they're homers," or not even homers, but like I think there's like a recency bias part to rookies where fan bases like quickly fall in love with, like the Colin Sextons of the world, stuff like that, because it's new and it's exciting, whatever. But with Scotty, it's not like a recency bias thing. Like it's the like anyone saying that this is like mean to Pascal or mean to whoever. It's like this guy's 20 years old. Like there's no comparison to Scotty and Pascal. Scotty is like his trajectory is going uphill. Pascal is statistically speaking at like in terms of like age wise, he's at the peak of his career. Like this is probably, he could get a bit better, but this is probably where he's going to level off at, around here in this range. Scotty, you have no idea where it's going to go. You just don't. He's 20 years old. So that's why, like, for the chance that what he could become, you have to put him in positions to potentially become all of those things. And like,
by the way, in terms
of building around him, it's not like we don't know yet is the true answer, because I see people saying
exactly
surround him with shooters, maybe, but if he's knocking down shooters like he is, like Scotty's knocking down threes, that makes it a lot easier to not prioritize shooting as much, right? We don't know yet, I think.
Yeah, and I think again, if you're watching this as a non-Raptors fan, yeah, you're probably homer, whatever it is, what it is. But what I will say is this can be copy and pasted with Evan Mobley as well. Like this isn't just a Scotty Barnes thing.
Easily.
You could literally take this exact statement and tie it to Evan Mobley. You could tie it to Cade Cunningham, because I've watched some Detroit Pistons game. I told myself this season, I was like, you know what? When Cade gets healthy, I'm gonna stick it through some Detroit Pistons games. And Cade looks damn good at this point. So those three players, and I'm leaving out Jalen Green. I haven't seen enough from him yet. But to be honest, the Rockets are just a disaster. Like the talent on that team, it's just
that's an easy under on the over-under wins.
So what I will say is, if you're a Cavaliers fan watching this can be said about Evan Mobley as well.
But you live in
it's Cleveland. It's going to be fun.
You live in Cleveland, so
that's the problem.
That's the downside.
that's the problem, right? And you guys, LeBron's not there anymore, right? So that's really good for. You guys do have the Indians, though. I don't know how good the Cleveland Indians are anymore, but
no, they changed their name, bro. Thank
God,
it only took them 100 years. They changed the name.
I apologize. The Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah. Only took them. How long did that take them? What, a century? Good for them. Thank God it only took them a century. Jesus Christ.
Cleveland Guardians. Who else do they have? The Cleveland or the Ohio. They have Ohio State Buckeyes.
They have the Browns.
Oh, they got the Browns. Browns aren't bad. Browns are not all that bad. Could be worse.
Football?
Yeah. Used to be absolutely awful, but
is Baker good?
No.
Baker's not all
There's
that great.
There's never been a bigger disparity between number of commercials and actual talent. Baker's like the face of the NFL in commercials, and yet the man's like the 25th best quarterback in the league.
Yeah. I wonder why.
I can't talk about NFL too much. I think we have to change the topic just because I don't want people to find out I'm a New York Jets fan. So let's change the topic ASAP. What I will say, though, is to wrap things up, right? Because we've talked ad nauseum about Scotty, about Fred, Pascal Siakam. Precious. There is one player on this team, Precious as well. There is one player on this team who I am probably most excited for to just continuously see grow, and that's probably Yuta, man. Like Yuta Watanabe, I am so excited to watch this guy, and I think eventually, he was at 10 minutes tonight. I think he's going to become an 18 to 20 minute guy, just by nature of the bench just being horrific, but also by nature of him being one of the smartest players on the bench and him just not really having a glaring weakness. Like, he can stretch it out. He plays pretty good defense. You can rely on him. And I think this is what Nick Nurse wants. Because with Svi, for example, when his shot isn't falling, he doesn't offer you as much as Yuta offers you. So he's definitely a guy that I'm looking forward to watching. The Yuta.
Same. And they need to re-sign his ass. They need to re-sign him because his contract's almost over. And the other thing he does that's really huge for this team is he rebounds the hell out of the ball on both sides. And all these small ball looks without real centers, like, he's really important for those.
Absolutely. Is there anything you guys want to plug before we wrap things up? I did not even notice we were going on for more than an hour, and we still have 120 live viewers watching us at 11:15 p.m. on a Thursday night. I appreciate all of you guys. We love you guys as per usual.
Washington.
This is the upcoming schedule, as we usually show on each episode.
These next 4 games are real winnable.
It's such a Raptors thing to do, to beat the Bucks and then the Wizards and lose to OKC. So that's my official prediction.
It would be. Don't know.
All 4 are at home. So if your birthday falls between December 2nd tonight and December 13th, make sure whoever loves you is getting you a Raptors ticket, because all 4 of the next games are at home. I don't know, though, Oren. I don't think it's as easy as it looks. I know they're all at home, but Washington's a damn good team. Oklahoma City, I think if you lose against them, it's almost like all hope is lost. Sacramento, they should beat. But the Knicks and the Wizards, man, they're not pushovers, man.
No, you're right. They're not pushovers, but they're both winnable games. Like, I don't believe Washington's record just yet. Like, I think they're playing a bit over their heads. And New York has kind of really struggled. They struggled tonight, I think. I'm pretty sure they lost, or based on the timeline, it sounded like they were losing. So I just think, 2 really easy games and then 2 winnable games. So if you can come out of that 3-1, I think that's realistic. Then you're back to 500, and then you're freaking rolling. You're healthy, maybe.
You're rolling by the end of until you realize you got to go into Brooklyn and then face Chicago and then face Golden State one more time. And by the time you face Golden State, they might have playback. So.
We don't have to talk about that 3-game lineup.
We'll eventually get there.
Get over
maybe after the Sacramento post-game show, we'll talk about that. But as for now, guys, we're just gonna act like the games after Sacramento aren't there until Orlando, of course. But this is the upcoming schedule. I don't know what you guys have it as. I'm probably going to agree with Oren. I'm going to say 3-1. Kyle, do you have it as 3-1, or are you?
I'll say 2-2. I'm going to
that's fair.
I'm going to tether my expectation.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
Everyone, Raptors fans, this is what is important to know.
Yeah,
we'll be back. We definitely back. Before you guys leave us tonight, We need you to like, comment, and subscribe to the Raptors Republic channel. We will be here after every single Raptors game this season. And what I will say is, please, guys, turn on the post notifications if you haven't already. Oren, if I'm not mistaken, we had a cool interview with the 905 player. I forgot which 905 player it was.
Alex Antetokounmpo recently on the podcast. Yeah, that was great with Andrew.
This is why you guys need post notifications on. This is exactly why. But this was the wrap up. Your Raptors Republic post game live show. Your Toronto Raptors defeated the Milwaukee Bucks 97-93. That brings their record to 10-13 on the season. So hopefully we're looking at a 500 record after the next 4 games. Not to mention this live show, because I won't forget, this live show was produced by Chris Howson-Jan. He's doing all the work in the background. Everything you guys see, all the switches you guys are seeing, that's all Chris.
He can switch from a point guard to a center. Chris goes 1 to 5. Like, he switches it.
That was it for myself, Oren, and Kyle. We will see you guys for another home game, this time on Sunday night, though, versus the Washington Wizards. Hopefully we come out with that one, guys, because if we do, I'll be so happy. Bye, guys.